Hello, everyone. I am so excited that you are here at the Cal-a-Vie Health Spa with me and a special guest. This is our podcast, and we're so excited to introduce you to Cheryl Burke today. Hi, Cheryl. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's beautiful here.
I know you guys know Cheryl, but let me just make sure that you know a couple of facts. She's an American dancer, model, and TV host, best known for being one of the professional dancers on ABC's Dancing with the Stars. That is where she was the first female professional to win the show and the first professional to win twice and consecutively. Is that correct?
Yep.
Do I have that right?
Yes.
She has participated in 25 seasons. That's amazing.
Yes, that's quite a lot. Yeah, most of my life, really, most of my journey. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here with us. I want to hear about how did dancing get into your life?
Well, I wasn't very good at school, right? My mom noticed that right away, and she's always been a big believer of putting me in extracurricular activities and trying to find passion in life. You know, my mom found hers at an early age, and so, you know, that's something that I will forever be grateful for, because I think without that, without her kind of opening up her mind and also the limits of what life can actually offer you, you don't have to necessarily be good at school. You could also be good at, you know, the arts or sports. So I did everything from ballet to horseback riding to soccer to volleyball to softball, like you name it, right? And the one thing I never got, I guess, upset about, or I never threw a tantrum over, was dance. And so ballet was something I started out in from 4 to 11, and then at age 9, you know, I went through my menstrual cycle for the first time, and I definitely developed on the early stage of life, and I became a young woman at a very young age, and I didn't feel like I fit in anymore when it comes to ballet. So my mom and stepdad decided to do like a family sport. So we tried tennis, that didn't work. Golf was boring for us. And she was like, how about ballroom dance? And I was like, no way, ballroom dancing's for old people. Like, this is never gonna happen. And then she took me to a dance competition in the Bay Area where we're from, and I saw kids my age dance, and the music was amazing, the glitz and glam, the rhinestones.
This is cool.
Yeah, and I was like, sign me up. And so then I took it seriously ever since.
Wow. And at what point then did you realize, whoa, this is like, I want to take this to the next level? What happened?
You know, that's my personality, you know, and especially as I was growing up. So I started ballroom at age 11, and then just seeing the different levels of like teenagers who took it seriously, and then finding out that it's international. So you can go worldwide with it, you can become world champions. And then I just would, you know, sleep, eat, breathe dancing, and would watch, back in the day, VHS tapes of like all my favorite dancers. And this is all that I would want to do. You know, my mom was very strict when it came to grades and stuff. So I had to get over, I think, a B average in order to go to dance class, and then travel to London every summer and compete.
Oh, wow.
And we have
that's a pretty good idea, Mom.
Yes. Well, you know, it's not cheap, put it that way. Ballroom dancing is not cheap, but especially when you want to take it to that level. But when you love something, you know, I mean, at one point too, my mom was fed up of supporting me at some point, you know, in my ballroom career, that I ended up dancing on the streets in Union Square to make money. And, you know, it was actually a great experience, because it made me really work hard for my passion in life, you know?
That's interesting. It reminds me of, I feel like that everyone should experience waiting tables, for example.
Yes.
And just understanding
working
other
a 9 to
people,
5. Yeah.
working a 9 to 5, how, you know, the variety of people that are in this world, you know, and the different cultures.
Yeah, it was vital.
Yeah, I love that story. And so what does dancing do for you personally?
Wow. Well, I think I was never really, I wouldn't be able to answer that question, put it to you, back when I was a teenager. But nowadays, now that I look back, it definitely has brought not only confidence in learning about how to move your body and just awareness, right, in general, your body language, but also to be able to interact with somebody, to be able to confront people when needed, to be able to be a partner, to understand a partnership, because it takes two to tango, right? So it's like, it's 100%, 100%. It's not 50-50, right? Like, I give 100% of me, you give 100% of you, and you guys figure it out, right? And that's where I feel like I developed really fast. And it was the traveling all over the world. And I always have said that there's no better education than traveling. And being able to kind of mold with the culture, right? I lived in England, I've lived in Denmark, I've lived in Moscow, I've lived everywhere that you could possibly imagine, you know, and at a really young age. And I think that that got me, even though Dancing with the Stars was never my goal, because it was not something that was attainable at the time, you know, dancing was something that I loved, and I was willing to be a starving dancer for the rest of my life, you know, and that's my passion, and that was definitely what I wanted. I had one goal in mind. It was to become a world champion, and I was going to do whatever it took, and it taught me discipline. You know, it's like a better, cooler version of cotillion, put it that way.
So talk about that discipline for a second, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have really big dreams and they never realize it for many reasons. But you know, I've heard stories of people who didn't have any money, but they had the discipline, they fought hard, they worked hard, and they made it happen.
Exactly.
You know, so what would you want to share with somebody? What advice would you give in terms of that?
You know, talent will only take you so far, right? So at the end of the day, if you're not consistent, consistency is key, discipline is so necessary, and always staying curious is even more necessary, because like the moment you think that you're a master at something, or whatever hours people say that you become a master at some whatever you do, the learning never stops, right? So it's so important to stay curious. You can't force that. So if you know that you're no longer curious, maybe you find something else that you'd like to do. But there's always room for growth, and to know that you're always a work in progress, and to kind of keep your feet on the ground in that sense. You know, you're never just like a perfectionist. Like there's no such thing, right? And so at the end of the day, you can always grow, whether that be a better teacher, a better artist, a better communicator, a better observer, a better listener. Like there's so much more you could do.
I always talk about, maybe I tell myself, patience and perseverance.
Yes.
Because you have to have both, because there are going to be setbacks. But if you continue to persevere through that, stay curious.
And failure is success, right? Like at the end of the day, without failure, how do you even know what success is?
Absolutely.
And you should be eager to fail instead of, you know, there's this whole thing with society today that's like, I can't fail, I have to be perfect. Like I said earlier, there's no such thing as perfectionism. I'm still working on it. I am definitely a perfectionist, but at the end of the day, it's really about wanting to fail, because in order to fail, then you have growth, right?
Yeah, and that, you know, you knew the number of mistakes I've already made today. This leads right into it. It's so perfect, because in doing so, and we talked a little bit about this, I believe, yesterday, there are feelings that you have. How do you manage that? Because it's, I guess the word is, there are triggers or whatever it is. How do you manage that?
You know, I'm really learning still how to do that, because as an athlete, and as you know, you're an athlete yourself, you push through the pain. We do not let pain bring us down, right? And
that's right.
But sometimes when it comes to emotional pain, even physical pain, to be quite honest, it's so important to listen to your body, because the body keeps score, and it keeps score of everything. And if you don't let it just be and stop trying to control the outcome, stop trying to micromanage it, stop trying to fight through it, it's going to bite you in the butt 1,000 times more than what the feeling is at that time, right? And always know that feelings are temporary. So it doesn't last forever. And as scary as it is, and mind you, I'm just preaching right now. I'm not necessarily, I'm trying to practice it. It's just a different way of thinking, right? So it's like my brain, I thought that I could control my body. You actually cannot control the way your body feels. You can't control your feelings. Nobody can tell you how to feel. People have to learn how to give people, including myself, the space to feel. It was interesting because my mom and I actually had this conversation recently just about how, like, I can't even predict how I'm going to feel about some trauma that may have happened to me, right? Or maybe trauma that may have happened to me from a little girl, or my real father's death. Like, there's all of this. When you let it in, it'll flood you, and it'll feel so overwhelming, but know it's so temporary, and you will only become stronger because of it. Because nowadays, I mean, I always used to say I was a professional number, that I would find numbing through, I'm an addict, so back in the day before I was sober, it was through alcohol. Now it's through productivity. It's through like so many different things that, in today's society, we could do as much as we want. And really that's just numbing.
Right.
And that's why places like this, like Cal-a-Vie, is so vital to actually give that time to yourself, because you owe it to yourself, to really try and disconnect from the world and just be.
Yeah, and so that is the perfect segue to techniques. What types of techniques? I know here we do a lot of meditation. We even have the love letter meditation where you can write a love letter to either yourself or someone else.
Or your child self.
Or your child self, or whatever it is.
Great.
What types of techniques would you recommend?
Okay, well, I have done an extensive research on meditation, and I've taken so many different meditation courses. I've done mindful meditation, and I've just recently, I just took transcendental meditation. And there's something about TM that is powerful for me, that requires no pressure. It just requires that you take 20 minutes twice a day and give yourself that time and grace. And I think that is so important. And as many people may say, I can't sit still, my thoughts, I am going to be thinking. Look, thoughts are your friend, because thoughts that come through is a stress reliever. So anytime you think a thought, it's trying to relieve your body of stress, right? So people think thoughts are the enemy, and it's really not. We just have to allow and honestly just be. And really, that is so hard, because we try to, and I'm just as guilty, micromanage everything, thinking I can control everything.
Right.
And really, you're wasting your time here on this planet, because you're not, I think the purpose of life in general is to just allow and be and surrender to what life brings you. And it's so much easier said than done, believe me.
Yeah, I love that. And, I too have been practicing that for a number of years, and I have so much more growth to experience. So you're inspiring me. I want to check out the TM.
You should. They do an online thing now, so it helps. Yeah.
Okay. I would love to do that. One of the techniques that I've done before, I'm just curious what you think about it, so I'm going to share it with you. It's really nothing new, but I will put, let's say a thought is it's coming out, it's there, it doesn't feel good, I don't really like it, but I'm with it, I recognize it. I might ask a few questions or just be with it, like you were saying. And then I'll come to this place of, okay, I think I'm done with that thought for today, because I really don't want it to consume my whole day,
Right.
So I'll be with it. And then I actually put it in a bubble.
Right.
And I blow it away.
Right.
So,
that's a really cool way of thinking of it. I mean, another thing too, which I find helpful, is just knowing that we're not our thoughts. So like our thoughts don't have to dictate our day, because we're actually not our thoughts.
Right.
So whatever thought you're thinking, if you could just close your eyes for a second, take a deep breath, and then step back from your thoughts. Like, your thought is here, step back from it. Know that you're the observer of your thoughts, and I'll go away.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. And the idea of sharing this information with our youth.
Yes.
Oh,
my God. I was
to do
saying
that.
this to you yesterday. Like, I wish all of this was taught in schools. Just that powerful sentence of like the way that you're even separating yourself by what you said that you do to get rid of your thoughts and not let it take over your whole body. It's just so important to understand that we are not our thoughts, like at all, right? Like, and our body has a mind of its own. Like, I guess when people want to talk about, this is real deep, but it's not woo-woo, because there's science that proves it. But like, you have your soul, you have the soul that just is the observer of your thoughts, and we are not our thoughts, we are not our body. It's like, we just have to pay the respect to it, though,
Right.
because it is here.
Right. And so again, also realizing that there are things, trauma or things in our past, or things that we may not even know about that happened, or things that we do know about but we don't understand. And I think reminding ourselves that we're also not our past, right? Is that how you would say that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life. And all trauma, there is no, my trauma is worse than your trauma. It's all trauma, right? And we all go through it. Even little babies, unfortunately, go through it. And I think it is important. First of all, I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I've got, 2 therapists, and I've got one that I've worked with for over a decade, twice a week now for many, many years. And I have been blessed enough to have a platform like I do because of Dancing with the Stars, and to be able to really be an open book, because not only is it hopefully helping at least like one person, but it's also very therapeutic for me. But I also have a family member who cannot talk about her trauma, that has eaten her alive. It has completely ruined her life. And I created a dance program, and it's called Body Language, and it's basically a different form of therapy. So it's a therapeutic movement program that really is, the sole intention is to just heal the trauma, heal your past trauma by movement, no words needed. And honestly, you know, there are so many different types of therapy. There's talk therapy, there's, you know, horse therapy. I'm not sure what the correct term is, but there's also movement therapy. And I have partnered with a certified therapist, Katie Morton, who is very educated when it comes to that, because I'm like most people in the world, where even with meditation at first, I was like, this is really woo-woo, like, is there any science behind it? And when you show that there is science behind something, then I am all for it. And I feel like it's needed, especially in the world we live in today. And when I know it could be intimidating to say, oh, Cheryl's going to be teaching a dance class. This is not a dance class, and this is not an exercise program. And this is not to learn how to rumba or samba with a partner. Like, you can do this in the comfort of your own home, in a small space, in a bathroom stall if you needed to, like during work hours, if you felt like you wanted to change your mood, if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you want to really just shake it off. Like, you would be surprised how your mood can change when you're intentional about it, and when you actually just give yourself just 2 seconds just to really get through it and
make
shake
the
it off.
shift. So the name of it again, Body
Language.
Body Language.
Yes.
And I believe I heard you say, obviously, well, is it for women, men, anybody?
It's for anybody.
Kids. Okay.
Yeah, you name it.
But if
it's anyone who wants to be a better version of themselves, you know? And it's really, it is surprising. Like, I know a lot of people may know that when you put a song on that you love, it can change your mood, but your body holds trauma, right? So if you were to look at animals in the wild, and this is another course I'm taking by Dr. Peter Levine, who studied somatic experiencing, and it's about how when animals are in the wild, he went to Africa and he saw, like, you know, cheetahs and lions, you know, just shaking it all off. Like, they literally, even my dog will just shake off the trauma, and
like
she'll
after
feel
something that just happened.
Something may have happened, right? And something small. But like, I said this example to you, like, if me and you got in a car accident, God forbid, but we were able to walk out of the car and we would have been okay. If we would just shake it off with the trauma that just happened, we would never experience PTSD. And I think if we can somehow incorporate movement, you know, something that I'm experienced in, and then I have a certified therapist to talk about somatic experiencing itself, and merge the two, I think it could help a lot of people.
I love that. Now, I want to go back to that in a moment, because I want to tell people how to connect with that. I know you're working on it, and I'm hopeful to have you here as a guest presenter. So you guys stay tuned for that. But take us back to Dancing with the Stars. We need to know, what's that like? We just want to know.
Well, it's really intense. It's one of the best experiences I've had. I've done 25 seasons, so I started when I was 21. I'm 37 now. It is quite, you know, a life-changing experience, not just for, you know, the celebrities, but for us, because, you know, we really are their backbone, right? For that 4 months that they decide to sign up for the show, and if we last that long. But like, the amount of people I've seen as far as their life changes, like their life changes, the way that they hold themselves, like dancing with Rob Kardashian and having him start out maybe not so confident, and then just learning to like be a man and like stand up tall and be confident, and you know, it is so
shake it off,
right? Shake off all that and all the baggage he was holding on to, or even Jack Osbourne, who has MS, you know, just to see. And this was another way that I guess it was inspiring for me to create Body Language, was to see how much ballroom dancing, or just movement, I wouldn't just say it's ballroom, but movement in general changes people's lives. And so for that is the reason why I continue to go back. You know, because it is, it's an accomplishment, and it's also, it makes me feel good to help others.
So how does it work with, and I feel like I should know this, but just through research, but how does it work for you as a woman and you're dancing with a man, but the men typically lead? How
they're not leading.
Okay, I know,
Let's be
because
real.
I
They're not
have this
leading.
problem when I start dancing with a guy, I start leading and I'm like, oh, I should stop that.
Yeah. Well, look, unless you've been training together for years, it's quite impossible to actually create that foundation because it's such a short amount of time, right? Like the turnaround, it's a machine. Dancing with the Stars. So it's live every Mondays. We only have 3 days to teach our celebrity the next dance. And there's no way, what we've done as professional dancers just to learn how to walk took us 6 years before I can speak for myself. My coach didn't give me choreography until 6 years of rumba walking, which may sound so foreign to everyone, but it's really the most insane way of, first of all, knowing your anatomy, right? Like understanding the difference between your left hip and working in, opposition of one another. And it's so crazy that, that's the foundation that you need to really create great dancing. And then when it comes to leading, the man not only needs to know your steps, he needs to know what's coming next. So if you're talking about male celebrities who've never ballroom danced, which has been most that come on the show, there's no way that they're leading. We just make them look like they're leading.
Okay,
but
that's very kind of you.
I've always said that the women professionals have it way harder than the male.
Yeah, no,
but for that reason.
It's a lot. I know it's such hard work. You've been there for so long.
Yes.
And I think it's beautiful that you are so loyal and people are getting so much from you. I mean, you're helping. I think people forget sometimes that celebrities still need support too.
Oh, for sure.
They are people too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
we're definitely people. Yes.
They're people too.
We're probably the more insecure people, but yes, we are definitely people. I can speak for myself.
Well, no, but I appreciate that, and you being vulnerable. I think that we want to help other people through our stories.
Yes.
You're doing that, going back to this program. So how can, and don't worry, you don't have to learn to lead, as I understand, with this program.
And honestly, you don't have to have a partner. You don't even need to have rhythm. This is not a dance program, right? It's just movement. I mean, I'm moving right now in my chair. Like, you actually don't need to do much.
Okay, so when is it launching? How do people stay in touch with you so that they know about that and can participate?
It'll be like a subscription-based website that you could subscribe to. And I will have more information on my Instagram page at Cheryl Burke. I'm on all the platforms, and it's basically either at official Cheryl Burke or at Cheryl Burke, or my website at cheryl-burke.com.
Okay, perfect. So
trying to remember all of this.
Make sure, but say it again slowly. At Cheryl Burke, there is at official
Cheryl Burke is I believe my Facebook. But you guys Google me and you'll find it.
You'll figure it all out.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Exactly.
easy.
My website's cheryl-burke.com. I'm pretty sure of it. But again, just
we will
Google
make
me.
sure and have it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So you
Perfect.
don't even have to
Thank
worry.
you.
We will have all
Thank
that
you.
information. We are so grateful for you.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. This is beautiful. I mean, my mom and I we're loving it. We don't want the days to go by any faster. So.
Oh, good. We're happy that you're here. We're happy you're willing to share your story with us.
Of course.
I think what we love, so much is that you really want to change lives.
Oh, absolutely. One step at a time.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for being
you.
here.
Thank you.
Everyone, keep in mind, we are grateful you're here. You should come visit us. Go to our website, Cal-a-Vie.com. That's C-A-L-A. We got dashes too.
There you go.
Let me start again. CAL-A-VIE.com. We also have our Instagram at Cal-a-Vie Spa. No dashes there. And then our Facebook.com/Cal-a-Vie. We are so grateful that you were here too. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.